give her just a gentle note. All right, now I'm going to try and share my screen. Is it going to work? I love that nothing's happening. Yeah, do you mind, Kat? Just send her a gentle nudge. It's very possible that she's traveling and that she will join us. If you are just joining us now, we are just doing, thank you so much, Kat. We are just kind of doing some setup here. I am trying to share my screen, and maybe the pop-out window won't do it. Hold on. Ah, I see. Yes, I would like the entire screen. Come on. All right.
Seems like it's thinking about it.
All right, I'm gonna. It will be Big Rowan. I'm actually gonna click start for this event. We have a screen. Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna kick off the event. No worries, no worries. This will be recorded, friends. I am currently actively recording this through OBS. This will be published to our YouTube. Thank you so much, Marley. Our RPC pals will get this uploaded. It may be a couple of days as I go and publish things. If you're just joining us, we have 35 folks in the audience, 36 folks in the audience, which is fantastic. We're really, really excited to have all of you here. We've had a lot of questions about communication and what's going on. And so I will kind of start getting right into it. Let's see if PowerPoint is going to do what it's supposed to. There we go. So first and foremost, welcome. Hi, I'm Juliet. I live in Las Vegas, and I was elected by the board of directors to serve as the Refuge president. I came online in July, I think. And I am also joined by Barb, the Portland owner. So Barb.
Oh, that's me.
And Marley, who wears many hats, but is based in Salt Lake and is serving for this call in particular as the national secretary. So if we see, hey, I have a Katie in the audience. So you're going to get an invitation to speak. Please accept it. We're all trying new things together, friends. So as Katie hopefully clicks on the button and is welcomed up onto the stage, we're using a function for Discord that is called the stage. So we will very actively be using the chat. So if you look in your UI in the lower right-hand corner, I think it's the lower right-hand corner, there'll be a button for chats. So welcome, Lee. Please feel free to say hi in the chat. Tell us where you're calling in from. And Barb and Marley and maybe me as I'm trying to multitask through this experience. Katie, I'm gonna send you another invitation. Invite to speak. Hello, Erin. So as we do this, please let us know where you're from. We're really excited to do this. Our intention is to do more of these. We are going to be talking about a lot of different things on the call today. So really, really appreciate everybody joining us. Hello and welcome. Your comments are being recorded as part of the video, just as a heads up. All right, let me move to the next slide. Hello Utah, hello Edmonton, hello Seattle, hello Calgary, hello San Francisco. I see you all coming into the chat. That's awesome. Katie, let us know. I'm going to click invite to speak one more time. Let us know in the chat if you're continuing to have issues. All right, so setting expectations for these calls. Again, call is recorded. But what are we really looking to accomplish with this monthly series? When I came online as president, many of you who have interacted with me know that I have 20 years of marketing background, that I have a background in radio and television. The RPC team was really supportive of me doing this. The board of directors were really supportive of me doing this. I think it's a great way for you to better understand what Refuge is, what Refuge isn't, how it works, how you can get involved, and we're really going to be talking a lot about that tonight. I'm very impressed. We have 43 people on the line at the moment, so welcome. So first and foremost, education, right? Better understand how things are happening, how you can get involved, right? Refuge as a whole does not happen without every single one of you. Each of you is contributing to story. You're contributing to experiences. You are what make this network incredible. And so this is really about you and about answering your questions. Visibility is another huge point for this series. Your local game is your home, of course, but there is a national identity that we really want to establish more with Refuge. We are a network game. Many of you have probably at least met travelers. I'm looking at people here from across the country, many of whom I've had the pleasure of playing with. I actually see my buddy Val, who's actually dialing in from Colorado. Aaron from San Francisco. Like, these are people who I've been able to play with. I think that might even be a Brad sighting down there. These are people who, right? So look on Marley's face. All you can see is a big Discord loading icon and yellow exclamation point. Okay. All right. Let me know if this.
I'm in the similar spot.
Huh?
I also can't see anything.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Reshare.
See it all.
Let me see if it's just being a jerk. It could just be being a jerk. Let me know in the chat if you are seeing it or not seeing it. That will help me out. I appreciate it. But in the meanwhile, so visibility, your local game is super important, but you're part of a national identity. Not seeing it, oh wow, it's totally... Huh, okay, super interesting. All right, let me see if I can reshare, friends. As I'm doing that, one of the things that I really want to do is obviously be thoughtful about what information we're sharing with you. You deserve to see more information. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be answering a lot of your questions. I'm going to try inviting Katie back up onto the stage one more time. And then I'm going to try resharing my screen. Hold on, friends. Let's see here. I'm going to try stop sharing. All right. Share a window. Boom. Let's see.
Huzzah!
Does that help?
Hey, I've got it now. Yeah, I've got it now.
All right, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I came back and there's a Katie. Hi.
It worked. I made the technology work. Hooray! It was you. It wasn't me.
It was me. Let's just say it was me. I'm totally okay with that.
It was you.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Gunnar says no load. Still loading. Could be your internet. All right. I am still the same. Okay, some people can see it. Maybe I'll just share the deck afterwards. All right, I'm gonna move away from this one. Let me see if I can. This will make much more sense if folks can see it. Yeah. If you can't see it, try exiting out, rejoin the call. Let me know. Let me know if you get any more sass. Okay. All right. So I want to talk really quickly about how Refuge works. I'm really hoping that many of you... there you go. Gunnar, look at you. Gunnar with the tech support. So hop out, hop back in. Feel free. I see there's well over 40 of you. So I want to talk a little bit about how Refuge works, right? We are what I like to refer to as a LARPocracy, not a LARPtatorship. For those of you who've known me for longer than 10 minutes, you know that I owned a DR chapter and that I play in a lot of different LARPs. And so many of the Nero Descendant games, Alliance, Refuge, they all do kind of voting structures and committee structures. So it's very community oriented, which I think is fantastic. Fun fact, if you've been following the recent tea, DR is also moving to this model, which was a great shock. That's like 72 hours old tea, by the way. For those of you who are following that, that's none of you on the call. Anyway, so I want to talk a little bit about committees. Change in Refuge not only happens through, I'm pointing at my two owners here that are on the call, not only through the ownership and through the board of directors, through the board of directors, but through committees. We're going to talk a little bit about how those changes get implemented. But I want to introduce those various different teams, and the teams that are in red, we badly need additional committee members. So Amy is in charge of the Refuge Accountability Committee at a high level. RAC really deals with if you have if there's an issue and it's perhaps with an owner or a lead or somebody in kind of a higher ranking position, this is one of the committees that deals with that. And super important to the original founders of Refuge was this concept of we're all in this together, and everyone should be accountable for their actions regardless of what position they're in. That includes me, of course. So RAC is who you can go to for those types of things. Now, obviously, if you have an unpleasant interaction with somebody inside of your local your local game, your local chapter, go to your player rep, have a conversation. I see Barb nodding, right? You can deal with that on a local level with your local team members. Now, if you feel like you're not in a position to do that, or you're really anxious, then having a conversation with RAC is an option. I do want to mention, that's the current slide. I'm so sorry. Maybe somebody can take a screen grab of the slide and drop it in the chat for our friends who perhaps can't see it. Thank you, Gunnar. So, I think that this committee is really important. I think it really harkens back to the original founding. I also want to touch on RPC, the Refuge Promotions Committee. We are looking for writers. We are looking for motivated individuals who want to contribute content, who want to write and want to promote this hobby. RPC currently is a very, very small, very, very overworked crew. And so that's why you haven't seen as many announcements coming out. RPC is near and dear to my heart as a marketer. But if you want to learn how to market, how to write content, you have an interest in going into a marketing or digital marketing or content creation field, this is also an opportunity to add to your resume. Refuge LARP, genuinely, when you do these committees, this is a form of volunteerism that you can also add to your resume for those of you who are still earlier in your career. So if you are interested in joining these types of things, we hit the audience cap. Okay, thanks, friends. Good job. We only had 30 RSVPs. I did not expect to hit the audience cap, so thank you all so much for your interest. But anyway, as I was saying, if you're interested in joining a committee, I'm going to go through the others as well. Please send me a DM. I will not answer it during this call, and we'll get you connected to those various different committee leads. We also have Refuge Rules Committee, which Marley is the RRC chair, as you can see from his tag. He's here tonight mostly in the services of secretary. But this is where you can help create new rules, work with our ownership to address concerns that they're bringing forward. RRC works tirelessly. And I find it to be a very challenging, role, but I'm saying that as a marketer, not as a systems person. Our tech committee. Oh, thanks, Corin. You boosted us. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. And Gunnar, thanks everybody for boosting the server. For those of you not familiar with Discord, there is a function where you can boost various different servers, and it unlocks some additional things like extra stickers, all those good things. So I want to touch on RTC for a moment. I don't know if any of our amazing RTC team members are here, but I will get to all of the technical challenges. The real challenge that RTC faces is that this is a very high-end skill set. I'm talking like $300 an hour for Ruby development. And we are basically a volunteer organization. So it's really, really challenging. We want to have people with those skill sets, but we also recognize that everybody has a finite bandwidth and this is a hobby and you are a volunteer when you are working on these various different teams. If you have technical acumen, we certainly have database migrations that need to be completed. We have a lot of web administration that needs to be done. If you are a Ruby developer, please talk to Isaac or Paige, who are the co-chairs for RTC. We do need your help. I know many of you have expressed frustrations about what's happening with the forums, about emails going down, about website challenges. All of those frustrations are valid. Yay! Thanks, Katie. You're like, oh, just two more. And then the last one, I'm pretty sure is helmed by Jess, and that is RDEIC, and that their real key job is to make sure that all of the language that we put out for our rule book, for our website, is inclusive, and that our language is modern and intentional, and that we're not accidentally or unintentionally marginalizing any minority. So this is an incredibly important team. We feel very, very strongly about making sure that our rules are thoughtful with that. So anytime we're going to get into talking about rulebook publishing, that is part of that process. So we're a level 2 server, friends. Way to go. Woo! We did it. Thank you. Thank you. Very generous humans. We appreciate you. So let's talk a little bit about
you guys are awesome.
Yeah, seriously. Like, way to go. 150 seats. Oh my gosh. Oh, and hello, Elliot from the RDEIC team. We appreciate all the work that you guys do. So let's talk about how stuff actually gets passed, how things actually end up changing in Refuge, right? So you go to game and you're at opening announcements and your head of plot or your head of logistics or maybe your GM or owner stands up and says, oh, by the way, we're now doing this, right? How the hell did that happen, right? So I just want to be very, very clear with folks that there is a process. So oftentimes there's a committee proposal, like somebody comes forward and says, all right, we feel strongly on this committee that this change should be made. A proposal is put out before the board. It's voted on, and then it goes into implementation. Now that is the intended path, but we'll be honest in how this might actually happen. So the green one underneath is a BOD request, goes down to a committee. The committee works on it. I'll pick on rules for a moment, right? So the board of directors decide, I would like this change done. They will hand it down to the rules team to have a discussion. The rules team will then put forward a proposal for the board of directors to vote on, and then it goes into implementation or potentially goes back into the queue. There are also times when, Barb stands up and says, I have a proposal, and then it's voted on right then and there. So, or Katie, I'm just picking up. Sorry, Barb.
I'm more likely to second than propose.
Right. So there is genuinely a process, right? So when you go and have a conversation with the voting member of your chapter, they have the power to put forward proposals. They have the power to ask committee leads to make a change that you feel passionately about. So if you're wondering, how these things get done, I wanted to be transparent with you because I didn't know when I came on board as president. I'll be honest with you. I think that it's really key for you to understand how changes happen inside of the network. The other one, there's a QR code at the bottom of the screen for those of you who can see it. It does go to the bylaws, and the bylaws kind of dictate some of that structure. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the public voting record as we kind of get through this, because we want you to be able to see what's happening, right? Refuge, again, was founded on transparency. You're going to hear that term a lot tonight. Okay. I know why you're here. You want to know what happened to the forums. I have heard many of you ask this question. This is what happened to the forums. So I hated the forums, but I did not kill them. So I'm just gonna be real, right? I'm gonna give you a creative technologist interpretation. RTC has informed us that not only are the forums crashed, but there's literally no way to export the data from the forums. So I forgive the meme, friends. I have a terrible sense of humor. If you do need access to those old posts, like maybe you had a really cool RP scene, you can absolutely, you can use the Wayback Machine to pull up those pages, right? The forums were only around for a couple years. But I want to know from this audience, so I want you to look in the chat, right? What were you using the forums for? What was it about? What did you need out of the forums? Was it vote records? Was it understanding bylaws? Was it sweet RPs? Was it arguing with the rules team? Like and there is no wrong answer here, friends. Like, what were you using the forums for? Because we want to replace them with something less shitty. The forums were back. Friends, it is not 1990. We can do better. Like, okay, repository for documentation. Corin, great, perfect. This is the type of information that I'm looking from y'all. Keeping up on rules, decisions, and discussions, great. Keep them coming, friends. Like, this is exactly what the ownership wants to hear from you. We want to understand your pain points so we can choose a tool that is beneficial to the player base. Event scheduling, announcement purposes, Gunnar, thank you. Rules discussions, great. Finding out how to spend your chapter points, what a great suggestion, Lee. That's fantastic. Only use them for posting essential LCS policy. So there were forums. Someone hug Zach for me. I want you to hug Zach. I don't know where Zach is from, but Zach's my favorite.
Zach is from Boise.
Okay, Zach, you're my hero. Okay. This is fantastic, friends. This is exactly the type of data that we're looking for from you to understand, like, there's many different ways to replace this. We could replace this with a blog post, with comment threads. Obviously, calls like this help with information and announcements, but they're fun and dynamic and ridiculous. I love the rules references in between. Oh, okay, Steven. So, Steven, you said in between game RP. For those of you who did that on the forums, I'm really curious. What's the difference between Discord RP and forum RP? Like, I know Discord requires like immediate response because it's basically an AOL chat room, whereas the forums is more this like post by play BBC experience. Just keep the comments coming in the chat. Okay. Now you like Discord better. Stephen, thank you so much for answering the question. I really do appreciate that. Okay. So this is right. This is really the question we're asking right now. What were you using the forums for? We've looked at a couple of different options. One of the things that we discussed. Thank you. Keep the information coming. I appreciate that. Shut up, Val. AOL chat rooms. We all know what Discord is. It's an AOL chat room. I'll die on this hill. It's an AOL chat room with macros. I will die on this hill. Some of us are old enough to remember those things like Barb. Also, all right, Katie, and you know what? I'll dump Marley in there too. All right, you know what? Gunner's gonna die with us on this hill. Those of you who are old enough to remember what I'm talking about. Okay, Beaker's got a nice point there, right? I hope I'm saying Beaker's name right. Losing track of topics in Discord and not knowing how to search in it is a very reasonable pain point, and I think that many of us who are in the I see some of my other pals. I see a Brad who will also join us on that hill. So I think that's really reasonable, right? The ability to search things, because Discord's search functionality is kind of not great. I know what IRC is, Gunner. Yep. So we want to fix these solutions, and these conversations that we're having are the way to go about fixing them. So I am really excited by the fact that there are 50 of you in here. I literally asked people to join in the audience because I didn't think I was going to have more than like 20. But this has just been so super cool. But this is the type of content we're looking for from all of you. So I do think we are going to look at the Refuge database for potentially patch notes. All of you use the Refuge database all the time, right? That is the tool that each of you is using. Like, I will log into it when I'm sitting at dinner with my better half and make sure I'm getting blankets, right? So I think that we're really hearing a lot, and I see Eric who's actually from the tech committee. So we are going to provide a solution, friends, but we wanted to better understand what are you using it for? So, all right. So what about everything else? Many of you asked other questions, and I really want to address those questions, right? Refuge National is managed by a very small team of volunteers. In order to fix issues in a timely fashion, we need you guys. There's 52 of you in the audience. It's a pretty high percentage of the game. We have around 400 active players across the network. And 50 of you are here right now with us in this moment. And I need more volunteers, friends. Like, I am begging, I am pleading. We desperately need more volunteers at the national level, on the committees, on the national staff. And I'm going to touch on the bottom one first. Our chairperson had to step away last week because of real life. Michael Reed, who many of you know from the Pacific Northwest, who is an absolute angel, had to step away. Real life has to come first, friends. Like many of you who have been in LARP a long time, you know that there's a line, and sometimes you have to say, okay, I need to take a break. I went through that as well after we handed off our DR chapter. So we're going to be putting out a public call asking for people to stand up and potentially become a chairperson. There'll be an actual post, so don't worry. You don't have to do anything now. But start thinking about if you or somebody that you know you feel like could really help at the top. It is a very administrative job, and the chairperson interacts very, very closely with the chair or the committee leads. They also work very directly with me, and those of you who've worked with me before know that I tend to do things in working sessions, so expect meetings on your calendar. I'm just going to be transparent. Ask Marley. So let's talk about some other things on this list. Why were emails and sites not working? So when our old hosting turned off, and this is a very simplified explanation, I'm not going to be including all of like the DNS transfers and all the good details. Yes, Jason, this is being recorded for later consumption on YouTube. Yeah. Sorry if you're having technical difficulties. I do apologize, friends. So our RTC team is made up of actively working in the field professionals that have very intense technical lead jobs, and so they're doing 50, much like me in consulting, they're doing 50 to 60 hours a week in their normal job, and then they also need to try and put in an extra 10 hours a week into Refuge, right? It's very, very challenging, and it's a very small number of people who are doing this lift. So we need people with technical acumen. If you've got Ruby experience, please tell us about it. That's why the emails and sites are having issues, because it is genuinely a bottleneck of time. Now, this is not an excuse, it's just straight up a reason, but you deserve to know and understand why you're hearing your owners say, I can't get access to my website, or maybe they don't have access to a certain email. This is just genuinely because we are an organization at the top that's managed by volunteers, right? Your owners, your GMs, they do a lot for your local game, and they might also be doing things at the national level. So I ask for grace. And also, if you know an RTC person, or you know somebody who's serving on a committee for Refuge, ask them questions, engage them, help, be excited with them, but also be gracious and appreciate the work that they're doing. There are many of you on this call right now that are serving your local game or serving the national game, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. We want to fill more bodies into these teams so that we can also give some people who've been serving for a really long time the opportunity to focus on other things, whether that's their local game or other positions that they may be filling. So all the love, all the volunteers, we need you. Again, you can talk directly to me. You can talk, because I'm also serving as the chairperson and the president right now. Or you can talk directly to either your voting owner, your owner, your GM. You know who to talk to. I have total faith in you. So let's talk about this last one, lack of external communications, right? That's part of the reason I actually came up with the concept for Fireside Chats in the fall of 23, but was so buried under other administrative and bureaucratic work for Refuge that I was not able to get this off the ground. So the fact that 52 of you are here is fantastic. It's only encouragement. We are going to do more of these. But again, we need writers. I promise you, if you're interested in marketing or you're even just motivated as a writer, I promise you you'll get to work with some incredible people in RPC, and I can help you with padding your resume with these skill sets. I will vouch for you. Okay, so less doom and gloom. What did we actually accomplish in 2023? Also, I just love this picture. This was right before this character died. For those of you who were in Salt Lake, before its character permed, actually. Let me rephrase that. He was so happy. He knew he was gonna die, but he was so happy marching out, and I caught this beautiful shot of him, and it's just, yep, super good. If I come to your game, I will come with my DSLR. Can't hide from me. Anyway, we had Refuge LARP's very first symposium. There's some footage of it on the YouTube channel. If you don't know what a symposium is, it's when all of the voting owners or voting individuals and their seconds and all of the national team get together for about 3 days and they debate everything. Everything. It is sometimes a bloodbath. I have been to symposiums that either for Alliance or Refuge that were special. This one was not. There was a lot of camaraderie, a lot of laughs, and a lot of consensus, actually, which was really, really encouraging. So you can watch the replay video that I have on there. But we also completed Refuge LARP's very first national game in Boise. Incredible game. Thank you to the team that put that together. Just thank you so much for that time. Yeah, seriously, clappy, clappy, clappy.
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody worked so hard on it. It was awesome.
That's your home turf, right? That's one of your games. So, okay, you should feel proud. Yes.
Dude, everybody involved was amazing. People tried so hard, and I was so proud. For our first National Refuge event, it was awesome. I was so proud of everybody.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about Refuge Nationals 2025 in a minute here, but yeah, the fact that, you have that feather in your cap of the very first one for the whole network is pretty cool. Some other things that were accomplished this year, for those of you who don't know, we had a Canadian president prior to me, Corey. If you're on the call, thank you so much for your service and your time. But our ownership was paying dues in CAD, not USD. And let me tell you how painful this is from a finance standpoint. So we have returned all of Refuge's money. Shout out to Barb for the help. And a huge shout out to Lizzie, who is our treasurer.
Lizzie.
Who has, I will buy them dinner. They have absolutely been fantastic. So we brought a treasurer on, was literally changed the course of Refuge history for the better. I cannot say enough good things about them. If you are going to build a LARP and you need someone's financial advice, I cannot recommend Lizzie enough. But anyway, our finances were returned to the United States. We have a real Wells Fargo account now. We also returned the business to legal status. There were some hiccups along the way. Those things have since been rectified. And we obviously moved our web hosting from NetHost or NetHub to DreamHost, which is a much more well-known, larger suite of services. We're in the process of filing all of our back taxes, friends. Yep. So when I say that we have been doing stuff to make sure that the network is functional and legal and in a good and better place, that is literally what your board of directors has been slaving away for months to make sure that it happens. I know this isn't the sexy stuff. I know this isn't the fun stuff. This isn't even hot tea. This is no one's fault. There's no finger pointing here, friends. This is just base level requirements as a business. So I really want to empathize with those of you who've expressed frustrations, but this is part of the reason that we've been a little bit slow on the uptick and you haven't heard as much from us, because there is a ton of work going on in the background. And on top of all of these very fun bureaucratic requirements to continue to be a business, which are important and essential, again, shout out to Lizzie, there's a provisional rule book in the queue. Super exciting. The amount of work and votes and inspiration that the board of directors brought to Symposium truly encompasses what Refuge is going to be moving forward. See, there we go. See, thank you, chat. I know this is not all the fun stuff, but like now we want it. Now that we're in a better place organizationally, right, and we're starting to move forward. What's coming in 2024? So this is the hot tea list, right? Obviously, thank you. Yes, my nails, thank you. I don't know if that was in reference to my nails, but thank you, Kat. So let's talk about 2024, right? We're bringing on a new chairperson probably by Q2. There's a regional event coming in that's Portland and Boise running together. I do want to, Barb, do you mind giving a little bit, can you talk a little bit about it? I don't want to give any spoilers away, and I don't want to put too much pressure.
Sure. No, yeah, we are progressing onward. We've got applications for plot members in. We've chosen a head of plot, which will be announced shortly. I don't want to announce it before I check in with other people and make sure that it's okay, because I wasn't expecting this. But we do have a head of plot, and we have plot members we're going to be interviewing in the next couple of weeks. So if you applied to be on plot, look for an email from me or a DM from me in the next couple of days. And once we have a plot team assembled, we will make sure everybody knows what that looks like, and we can get kind of excited about planning everything and doing it. It's going to take place August. It's Labor Day weekend. Yeah, Labor Day weekend, August 30th through September 2nd, I think.
Fantastic. Barb, thank you so much. And that was off the cuff, friends. Like, I did not warn Barb ahead of time. So sorry, friend. I'm super excited for the team. So if you attended nationals or you're looking for a big game to attend this year, I think that's a great one. There may be other regionals that I don't want to throw anybody under the cart, if you will, but there may be other regionals that occur throughout the network. If you don't know, San Francisco just had their first full weekend event, so they're up and running. They've got their first full season, which is very, very exciting for my NorCal pals. So yeah. And then for those of you who can't read the screen, Nationals 2025 will actually be in Canada. So congratulations to Edmonton for winning their bid. Woo! So those of you in the chat who don't have a passport, I really strongly encourage you to get a passport. Like, start the process now, friends. Get the passport. It's going to take at least 6 months to get that passport taken care of, but it is worth every penny. For the first time, we are going to have an international nationals game and truly show our Canadian pride. I'm loving all of the Canadian pictures in the chat. Thank you, guys. It's awesome. Yes, time to fight in the land of maple syrup. Roy, I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, Darcy, yes, you will be able to actually attend the national. So it's really, really exciting. More details will come out. I don't know anything about the plot or the theme or any of those the good things, but we're super excited to support our northern neighbors really for the first time. We talked a little bit about the provisional January rulebook launch in Q2. I will promise that I will get into that. There'll be additional play tests, and then we'll kind of stop poking the rules with a stick as we start talking about what I'm calling Refuge Next, which I will talk more about in following slides. I also want to mention that we're in the process of overhauling the bylaws. For those of you who don't know this term, that's okay. If you're a newer player, you may not know that Refuge and its predecessor, Alliance, and I believe Nero as well, all had what they like to refer to as the bylaws. These are the governing body of process, who does what. They are kind of the meta rules document, if you will, the in real life rules document. But they are our current set, which I had the QR code for up on the screen previously. If somebody will drop the link to the current bylaws. These are legal documents. They are exceptionally challenging to parse through as a normal human being. So Barb and I think Katie, there's a team of Katie. Okay, I got folks who are overhauling the bylaws so that they are consumable by your average human being. As opposed to, ChatGPT or an AI. Like, they're hard to read, or a lawyer. So there are going to be some updates to the bylaws to make them more layman's terms, to make them more understandable, so that you don't necessarily have to control F everything in there. It's really going to be a healthy change. The spirit will be the same, obviously, but there will be a big overhaul. And because these are documents that we want you to have access to, you will also be able to read them after they've gone through their paces. I can't say when to expect those. I would say probably before, maybe in Q3. Barb, do you feel like am I being too optimistic? Maybe Q3?
Yeah, Q3 is probably pretty solid. We do have quite a bit of work ahead of us, and we're doing our very level best to get it done. But yeah, I'm hopeful for Q3.
Awesome. If you're really passionate about the meta laws, things like treasure policy, which some of you who've worked on the back end for Monster Camp know that that's a big deal. Talk to your local GM, anybody on your team's management team. You can talk to them and ask them questions and how it affects you personally and locally in your local game. One of the other big shifts is obviously we need a big tech push to deal with the technical debt that we're sitting on top of. Obviously, we have to get through some of the base level financial things and some of these really big pushes, replacing the chair. But we are going to do everything in our power to support RTC and make sure that we're addressing some of those technical challenges. We're exploring things like moving to different types of websites. We want to address those frustrations that you, the player base, have expressed. Also, Refuge Next is around the corner. So let me move to that. Okay. Let's talk about these two items. This is a very wordy slide, friends who can't see the screen. I'm going to try and nice and condense it for you. Provisional rulebook, Refuge Next. So the provisional rulebook, this is what we've kind of dubbed this. This is the working title for for the board of directors. We expect it to launch in Q2. It's going to replace the current rule set and will include many, but not all, of the rules changes voted in at Symposium. A transition plan and patch notes will be published, and kind of a user notes, so you know what to expect. Most of you are going to be familiar with these changes. Your character's species, class, and XP will be reset with this update at the request of RTC to accommodate for database limitations. So those of you who are on the call, you hear it here first. you will get a fresh build. Okay, this will be talked about in the transition plan, and that transition plan will be published to you guys so you know what to expect. We're actually going to take the next Fireside Chat to talk about the specifics from the provisional rulebook for you guys. So none of this should come, like, you will know what to expect. Your local teams will know what to expect. But after, you're not being reset to 25 XP, which is what your wording sounds like. No, oh God, I'm sorry. No, friend. The amount of XP, the amount of spendable crap that you have on your character sheet will be the same amount of spendable crap that you have on your character sheet. You will just be able to spend it fresh. So it's just yeah. Reset to 25, clap. No, I'll be sad. My character's not even that high level and I'd be sad. Second quarter, I'm so sorry. Thank you for asking that question. So I spend my time in corporate hell. I'm a corporate sellout professionally. So it's the second quarter, which starts, so like January, February, March is Q1, blah, 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 blah. So that's, sorry. I apologize. I wasn't explicit. I apologize. Anyway, so after the provisional rulebook goes into play officially, there'll be a couple more like hatches and play tests to kind of land a few things. We'll let you know when to expect those, what to expect. And then the rules will stop changing, which many of you have, I've been told, have been asking for. I see Barb nodding. I see my other co-presenters nodding. It will lock, and then we will go in and really start a larger overhaul of Refuge into what we're colloquially calling Refuge Next. The other thing that I want to note is that you can actually get a sense of what changes are coming by looking at the public voting record. We will be publishing that tomorrow. And so it literally is every vote that the board of directors has done since its inception. So you can really get a sense of a vibe of what type of things we're talking about. The patch notes, or maybe I'm not going to use the word patch notes, the meeting notes, the quick high-level meeting notes that we have been publishing. I think Jarrett did the last one, Barb did the one before that. They get published in general. That also will give you a sense of what type of work we're doing, but with the Fireside Chats on a more regular cadence, I will do my best to try and make sure that you guys are really cued in. So Refuge Next, what is that, right? The change is scary. Barb's smiling. LARPers don't always respond well to change. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. I have been in this hobby for a very long time, and I know that change is often very, very scary. LARP itself as a hobby has changed drastically, right? We all have our favorite systems. We all have our favorite moments, or like, okay, I really like this length of a long sword or whatever, and we all have these moments that perhaps as we live through rules changes that we really preferred. Like some of you in the audience might be really scared about D&D 6, or you might really be a D&D 3.5 person, or you like vanilla WoW. Like, so thanks, Marley. Marley's like, yeah. I know that change can be really challenging, but we have an archaic rule set, y'all. Like, I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. We have an archaic rule set, and it's what we know, and that's fine. But we want to catch up and really be considerate. Erin, did you really seriously just mention 4th edition D&D? Shame. What the hell? Right? Thank you. You downvote that. Friends, you get on there and you tell Erin that she is wrong. Like, 4th edition? Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, we really want to reset what do you love, right, as a player? What do you love about our system? Like, if you want to jump in the chat instead of giving Erin a hard time, what do you love about our system? Like, what aspects of Refuge as she stands today do you love? Do you really rely on? Is that the cool spells? Is that the high magic system? Is that I like having all the magic items? Like, that's super cool. archaic rules and how. Oh, I'm not a systems person, Brewer. I'm gonna be real with you, friend. We could do this as a Nordic LARP, and I have nothing on my character sheet, and I would still love the shit out of Refuge. Just so it's that I am the wrong person. But I love. If anybody wants to respond to Brewer in the chat and share what's an example of an archaic, like THACO is an archaic thing, an archaic rule system and what one would change about it. Like, please. Hitting your friends, combined strike. There we go. Josh, thank you. Share these thoughts and feelings in there. And we're going to continue to talk to you guys about these changes. But at a very high level, we want to really reflect Refuge as it is today, not necessarily where it came from. That process is going to be pretty holistic. It's going to take some significant time. We want to think about our design principles, which, Gunnar, hold on to your hat because I'm going to pester you about design principles at some point in the next quarter, by the way. So, like, yep. Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you. We also want to think about revised species. For those of you who don't know, some of our northern neighbors actually have an expanded LCS selection of super interesting species. I don't know about you, but I think playing a goblin would be super fun. So Revenants, I see Gavin is out there shouting for Revenants. But we also want to think about scaling, right? I have some of you in the audience who have characters who are over level 50. You know who you are. Scaling for you is rough, right? You've got all of the various different magic items, and then you've got our pals who are what we used to call destined in Colorado, right? People who are under level 10. So how do you scale for those things? How do you accommodate for magic items? And so we want to look at those things holistically. Oh, we've got a level cap comment from Jason, who I see stayed with us, even though was asking when the recording was going to be. Thank you, Jason, for hanging out. Level caps are they're not off the table, friends, right? We want to have a conversation with you, the audience, and the larger player base about what's important to you. We also want to consider economy and crafting, right? Crafting currently in Refuge today is kind of I'm not really a fan, but you might be. But that doesn't mean that economic play doesn't exist inside of Refuge today, right? There is an economy. You know there's an economy every single time there's a magic item that comes up on your mod, or there's an auction for a formal scroll, right? So there is an economy that's live and well. But how are we supporting that mechanically, right? Right? Brewer said, I don't know why Brewer is literally the name that keeps coming up in my line of sight, friends. I don't actually know who that person is. Brewer, who are you? Where are you from? Why do I keep referring to you?
It's the pink font color.
Huh?
It's the font color. It's like very eye-catching.
Is that what it is? Is it just a font color? Okay. So anyway, the process of moving to Refuge next will be workshops, community discussions, having RRC look at things, but in a different form and fashion, not just what they're doing today, but actually a generation, right? So we want the national teams to be involved. We want people to be engaged. You don't need to think about this yet. We're not looking at this to launch until 2026 or 2027, maybe, right? That's the best guess that I have right now. So your owner might be different. It probably won't be me sitting in the chair for presidentship, but today I want you all to know that we want you involved in this conversation. We want to have this be your Refuge. So, because you're paying customers, friends, remember that at the end of the day. I think that's important, and sometimes we forget those things. There is a Q&A portion coming, I promise. These are the upcoming dates for the Fireside Chat. For those of you in the chat, I will put an event in for February 21st at 6 p.m. We are going to be focusing on the provisional rulebook, and we're going to be... You will hopefully have had a chance to read it. We're going to answer questions. We're going to talk about transition plans. Yeah. So I think that's, I just want to make sure yeah. Legacies. Where is Legacies? That's one I don't know.
Up here in the PNW.
Okay. I know lots of other rule systems. All All right, so some resources for you. Refuge voting record will be in general tomorrow. This slide was made a week and a half ago. I apologize, it is incorrect. If you need help, feel free to DM me. I will not answer tonight. I may not answer this week. I am traveling for work a lot in the next 2 weeks, so please, I don't hate you. I love you very much. If I don't respond, it's not you. I just want to set that expectation now. Refuge YouTube. If somebody can drop the Refuge YouTube link again in the chat, this whole experience will get uploaded there. Again later. We will put all of these things in general as well. Also, the BOD does publish meeting notes from our sessions in the general chat, the national Discord. And if you can see the QR code, I would love it if you would fill in the survey while we switch over to Q&A. If somebody else, no, we're not borrowing from Mythic either. Look, if I'm going to borrow concepts, it's going to be from DR 2.1, Twin Mask, or Realms of Conflict. The end. But I'm not a rules person. I am not the one making the rules. Yeah. So I will, if somebody else can... 2.1 DR, friends, not 3.0. I have strong opinions as a previous owner. All right. Q&A. This is the part where you guys get to ask us questions. Remember, I have with me two voting humans, owners. Both of them also have experience with other LARPs, with multiple demographics and regions. I also have Marley, who is sitting with us in the capacity as secretary. This is Lexa, by the way. For those of you who have noticed the cat in the background, she is here for your viewing pleasure. Really, dude? So, okay. So, oh my god.
She's having fun.
Right? She's going to town. You can't live television / live Discord, friends, right? Nothing I can do about it. I'm gonna stop sharing actually because I think, yes, that was the end of it. Okay. All right. Now you don't have to see a fuzzy thingamajigger anymore. So, all right. We have a question from Justin. Justin, I have a question about the event over Labor Day weekend. Since one of the chapters requires vaccine cards, will that be enforced? Barb, I think this might be for you.
Yeah, we're still talking about it. It is a hot button issue, and we will have, as soon as we have an actual answer, that will be posted, so that we can make sure everybody is aware of what's going on. But it is pretty contentious amongst all of the different layers of people who are participating in the conversation, so we are trying to make sure we get everybody a chance to be heard, and then we will go from there. So we should have a decision hopefully in the near future. Sorry about not having it yet.
Barb, it's okay. Thank you so much for your authenticity. And Justin, thank you so much for asking that question. I hope that helps. I'm going to move on to Andy next. Andy asks on transparency. We have always had issues getting board votes made public despite many promises. Are both past and present votes going to be made public and accessible? I'm going to toss this to my secretary. Marley?
Yeah, when the document comes online, it will have 5% available taken. And then it's applying transparency. 5% literally your business matters will be behind there. And our goal will be to ensure that it's updated quite regularly. So you'll have all that past and the present, and they should roll out, I'm thinking, likely on a monthly basis.
You're having some robot voice, so I'm going to try and paraphrase. Sorry, Marley. Of course, the one in that moment of time. Clearly, the internet. That's how it works. The short answer. So let me just scroll back up. So I've got Andy up here. So yes, there will be a document that kind of documents all of the historical votes. I'm guessing Marley's probably actually typing in the chat right now. and that will be made available. That's the public vote record that will be published tomorrow. We just want to make sure that everything's in there, and that will get published. So Andy, hopefully that answers your question. I'm going to scroll down to Blue Wolf Ryan, who is always very sweet, and saying, are you making sure to pace yourselves with practicing self-care to stay healthy and avoid burnout? Are you getting up off your feet often enough, getting a piece of pizza? I am not. The end. Full stop. I'm going to toss to my 3 others on the panel. I am not. Oh, Marley is. Okay, well, good job, Marley. Barb?
Nope.
Okay. Katie?
Burnout's my happy place.
My feet are up currently, and I love pizza. That I can comment on a yes for those.
No, Ryan. Talk to me in a month after work has stopped trying to kill me, and maybe I have a chairperson in the queue. So moving right along, Eric from Oregon on the Tech Committee asks, is there a location for the 2025 Nationals event figured out? I think the sooner the location is shared, the better planned out we can all be. That's a very reasonable question. I literally broke the news. I broke the news on this call. I got permission from Derek. But additional context on the event, where it will be, the location, it will be in Canada. You'll be flying into is it Calgary or Edmonton is the closest airport? If I've got one of my Canadian pals, Josh knows things. He's from Canada. I think it's Edmonton who's hosting. But I know Calgary they're a very tightly knit 2 chapters. So if you have additional context in the chat, please provide it. But Eric, we will try and get those details out as soon as we can. Okay. Robo voice. Come with me if you want to live. Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Edmonton. So Robin says you did mention needing a lot of help for things technical wise. If someone has other skills that may or may not be needed that are not mentioned, who would be the best person to shoot an email to? So you can message me directly. If you know Isaac Harris, or who plays Shin, who is pretty hard to miss across the network, he will generally happily take DMs as well. Technical skills are across the board, right? They're project management as well. And, if you've got a lot of web administration, that's helpful as well. I do want to clarify again, unfortunately, these are not financially backed positions, despite the really expensive skill set if you go up onto Glassdoor or, any of the other, or LinkedIn or whatever. But we recognize how much we appreciate those very thoughtful people. So Sean asked, can we get the new Quiver rituals added to the LCS list? I don't think any of us
That's a locally answerable question.
It's a local answer. So, Sean, it's a great question. Unfortunately, maybe if I have Kyle, or I don't know if Brian or Amy or Barbara, do you know?
It might be so. Oregon and Portland and Seattle share an LCS list. If they're not up there right now, send me an email. Or shoot me a DM is probably better because my emails are currently down. So shoot me a DM and we'll get that sorted out. They may also be asking about the Refuge Point list. I don't know if they're up on the Refuge Point list currently.
All right. They also deleted their question from the chat, so it's okay to ask local questions, friend. There's no judgment here. If this is your first time joining one of these conversations, it's very likely that you have no idea how Refuge works, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I also had to learn these things. So, ask away. Ask away. There are no bad questions. I hope I'm not mispronouncing this. Ariane? I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but what are your plans, if any, to improve diversity and support for POC players and game staff as a game network? This is a great question. Thank you so much for this. we really want to have more diverse voices. We want to be as inclusive as possible. We want to tell stories from diverse perspectives. And the only way to do that is really to champion those voices. So we absolutely do want to encourage that. A lot of the things that you're going to see reflected are obviously going to be in the rules book. As I mentioned on the call previously, everything goes through a DEIC sort of revision where we're reading for those sensitivities. We really encourage POCs and any minorities to join us on the national team. You will be welcomed with open arms. We really want to have more diverse voices up at the top and, of course, on your local level. So I think a lot of this is also visibility, right? So as we start to look at newer versions of the rule book, including images that are going to be more inclusive are going to be a priority. So I think this is a fantastic question. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I really appreciate it. Oh, and I see Marley with a finger.
Can you hear me?
Now we
Yes.
can.
Awesome. So a specific that I can give also to Ariane is, in the provisional rulebook coming up, we have made a lot of strides in the flexibility applied to prosthetics and makeup so that different levels of melanation and skin tone are able to represent a species without having to cake on white makeup if, for example, you have a darker skin tone, as a matter of sensitivity that came to us through our DEI committee. So always excited to take greater steps, but there's one tangible one for you.
Awesome. Thank you for that example, Marley. I really appreciate that. It is definitely a priority, friends. All right, so okay, Josh addressed the location. Thank you so much, Josh. Is there any chance we can move towards an item-based crafting system like 2.0 DR that would require a mana system for crafting? I think that's a really cool question. As I mentioned previously, while I have lots of opinions, I am not a systems person. I want to toss it to the rest of the panel to see if any of you have any opinions on that. How do you feel about it? Thoughts? You can have none. It's okay.
I have no idea what that is. I will be real honest.
Totally fair.
I am familiar with the idea of a mana-based crafting system, but I'm not familiar with DR's rules, so I couldn't answer that specifically. But I'd be happy to talk about like getting more info and getting suggestions. Always good to have other points of view that I don't have. So
I'm happy to very, very at a high level explain their crafting system. And this was Cole of Ankara, so this is clearly one of your players, Katie. This is one of yours, yep. For those of you who aren't familiar,
I know who it is.
Yeah, you're like, in Dystopia Rising 2.1 or 2.0, the crafting system was based on a time sink. So you would have players creating items, tagged items, from what you would all know as recipes, but we call blueprints. And you had to have other resources that kind of added into that for that recipe. And then they would only spend time, generally, to create those things. Other objects, you could do mind spends, which in this case, I think they're referring to mana spends. So it would be a different resource pool, but also the concept of just spending time crafting with other people. There were entire sort of cultures based around the tinkerer's bench, where you have 5 or 6 people banging on a table with a hammer for hours at a time. Not everybody's seen, and that's okay, because all of us consume our hobby differently. I, for instance, can't stand plot. Never direct plot at my character, ever. I just want to hang out and talk to people, right? So there are different archetypes of LARPers, but I think that culture of like building something together is something that a lot of players really enjoy. And crafting is not quite a live experience in Refuge, but High Magic is a live experience. For instance, if you've ever watched Shin or Blue Wolf, or the Red Wizard, or any of the other various different high mages across our network, many of them do something very, very theatrical. So Cole, I hope that answers your question, but that's kind of a high-level look at how that system works. But the system was built around that concept. So, great ideas. Keep them coming. Sorry, I'm scrolling down. Okay. Jarrett says, yes, Edmonton is where folks will likely fly into. Sorry, just scrolling. Okay. I'm glad you guys are all chatting. That's super awesome. Yeah, chat with your Canadian pals. If you're planning to go north for nationals, please do chat with your Canadian friends. Also, I highly recommend TSA PreCheck. Thank you for answering questions. Brewer said, for those of you who don't like loud noises, people banging on tables is definitely a whole thing. Oh my word. Wow. There was a lot of conversation here. Now, do not give me plot, Dane. No. Don't do it. My character wants nothing to do. Oh, Val, don't help. All right. So, let's see. Do we have a season that 2025 Nationals may take place? Actually, that's a great question. Do we have that kind of the I assume warmer months? I do want to address Gunner's question. Yeah, do we know where in the season that's going to take place? If I've got Jarrett, there we go. Thank you. Everest, you're brave. All right, guys, I have gotten to the end of the list of your questions. So, do I have any other questions from the audience? There's still... Oh, here we go. Okay, Andy. Hi. Is there a plan for old magic items we can't use currently, like a high value or a high TP value enchanted workshop we haven't been able to use in almost a year, as well as storability items? These items have been in limbo for a long time. All right, I will be honest, Andy. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure there is a plan. I can't specify it. I'm going to toss to my panelists to see if any of them have a specific response to Andy's question.
So, for
and robot voice.
You will have most.
You're breaking up. Sorry, Marley. Hold on. Let me see. Let's try again one more time.
Any luck?
He looks super. I keep seeing even crackled video on my.
I can hear you.
Okay, maybe it's just me.
I can hear you.
Marley, if you want to answer it, I apologize. Go for it.
Well, yeah, I'll talk through this and then I'll type it out. It's my understanding that there are plans in place, and there will be the opportunity for some of those to roll out with the update notes, the transition plan document for the provisional rulebook. I believe some items will most likely be instead transitioned once we're done with the provisional status altogether. So it's also the case that chapters can choose to go individually on conversions, not having to wait for the universal national standard. So suite of options there, not a simple answer, but hopefully one that gives some hope.
So I think, Andy, you will be able to transition those items, right? You purchase them. We want to make sure that if you're not getting use out of them, then you may have the opportunity to switch them out. So I know Marley's typing it in the chat, but we appreciate that question. Okay, and I think Ariane's question got answered by Kat. Thank you, Kat, for jumping on that. Thank you, everybody who's actually been kind of helping with the questions in the chat. It's really, really appreciated. Gunnar asks, can we get one of the northern national reps in the coming months for accurate temperature gauges in the area to go out to? Yes, we will. I'm sure that our Canadian pals will absolutely help us prepare for our voyage north, as they say in Beacoline. All right. Dane asks, will Refuge next include dynamic and unique spells for different magic users? What about alchemy and potions? We are still in very, very early stages, Dane, Justin, right? Yeah, and with Marley, like, I love that all of us are like, I don't know. What we're going to do holistically from a design standpoint is look at design pillars first. And the identity of the system and the experience that we want people to have, and then we're gonna kind of workshop that and focus test it and things like that. So maybe if you or someone like you wants to be involved in the conversations around Refuge next, talk to your ownership, talk to your GM. If you are really passionate about game design, or yeah, I get thumbs up across the board here. Yeah, if you have good ideas or strong opinions and you have interpersonal skills, please have both. Just so it's said. We would love to hear your opinions. We are not at the point yet where we're starting to go through the design process. We will probably be doing some very, very high level conversations. But who do we want to be as a network moving forward, right? Those are the questions that we want to ask. I think that retaining alchemy and potions is pretty entwined, not only in the fantasy genre. I have not gone to a fantasy game that doesn't have alchemy and potions. It doesn't matter which network or game it's been. Like, it's even in Vampire, y'all. So I think I would expect that consumables of some type will be retained. It's really a nice, steampunk and arcane. What is it? Arcane punk. Right. These all have consumables of some kind, so I think that archetype will be retained in some form. All right. What is the plan for current silver weapons? Also, what help do you need other than tech, if any? We need help, friend. Don't go away. The promotions committee absolutely needs volunteers. If you are a competent writer and you are capable of generating words, posts, RPC wants to talk to you. We really, really, really need more people in RPC. RDEIC also, I think, needs more folks. We also are looking for a chairperson, Lee. Just gonna mention that once again from the top. We do need a new chair. So if you have leadership skills, we'd love to hear from you. Once again, you can DM me with, hello, I'd like to be a Helpy Helper. I will not respond immediately, because I've been on call since 7 this morning. So I will respond in due time. But what is the plan for current silver weapon? What are we doing? Is there something wrong with silver? Does anybody what's happening with silver?
Silver weapons are out, and
What?
so is the capacity to silver things in general.
How do you kill a
But
werewolf then?
there is a transition plan coming up. You'll have to find out locally how to kill your lycanthropes. But I've heard good things about Wolfsbane.
Oh, okay. I think I have a silver weapon. Thanks, Lee, for bringing that up, because I didn't, like I said, I don't retain the rule stuff. So, thanks, Marley. And you were not robotic for that one. All right. Wait, how are we? I see we have gone down a weird PvP rabbit hole. Okay. Something about PvP. Okay. So I think this came from DR. There were certain chapters in DR that were very PvP or CVC heavy. Yes. It was a survival-based game, so frustrating interactions did occur. Not all chapters were super PvP. Some of them were more PvP than others. So your local game reflects your director, for better or for worse, and that is true of all LARPs. Your local experience will reflect your director. Okay, Alex from San Francisco. Hello, Alex. We could do with making some updates to our crafting systems, some of our systems in general. It's not a terrible idea to look and learn from other LARP's rule systems and see how they're contributing and supporting the fun. This is exactly the point. Alex, thank you for stating that succinctly, right? We want to make Refuge more Refuge, right? And so I always tell people who want to become a LARP owner that they should go and play as many systems as they possibly can, right? We are not the only system out there, and the game that you're playing locally has other LARPs around it, right? And so that those experiences, how they do things, having a sense of LARP as a whole is healthy, right? What's happening internationally, nationally, blockbusters, different types of LARPs or immersive experiences. What I like to refer to as the future of LARP, this is a Quest Pro headset. There are so many things happening in the immersive experience space that go beyond our tiny, beautiful little walled garden, right? So part of the reason that I came on board as president is because I do bring a lot of perspective from other games, other networks. So I also bring a fair bit of trauma, if I'm being honest. But I think, yeah, Barb's like, yeah. So
I know how it goes.
yeah, that's how it be though. So we don't want to just look at only our experiences. We're looking at the hobby as a whole, right? How are we onboarding new players into Refuge so that there isn't such a high rate of entry, right? So we're looking at everything together holistically. We're having those conversations. LARP theory is a great topic to discuss with your friends. So we want to look at things not just as how many spell slots do you have, right? Are there plans to change the martial skills to be able to match up with magic in late game options like prowess? What an interesting question. Okay, that's Kolovankara again. I'm gonna throw Jarrett under the bus. One of the things, so Jarrett came to Symposium with a PowerPoint, which I need you all to know how much that makes my heart sing, as PowerPoint is my love language, as many of you saw previously. We are looking at balancing, right? We're looking at cost balancing. And so I think Jarrett has brought some really interesting ideas forward. I don't want to say that there's any intention to necessarily change the martial skills to be able to march up with magic in late game right now, or in the changes that are coming. But certainly when we start looking at Refuge next, we want to look at rebalancing. And so, Marley, we don't have any specific changes that was referenced in that question coming down the pipe, do we?
Lethal Slaying and Lethal Assassinate are the most recent fancy tools for the harder level folks.
You're a robot.
Yes, that was robot voice, but I think Marley commented on Assassinate and Lethal Assassinate.
Okay. So Kolovankara, I want you to have hope. But everybody has different opinions about the balancing for late game. All right. Oh, good. Dane, I'm glad. Okay. Right. Talking about PvP, CVC. It is a factor. CVC largely in our system is kind of they always come back, y'all. Like it's riding the Blackbeard Express is often kind of challenging in our system. So, all right. Andy asks, Marley, did you say the transition plan would come out with a provisional rulebook in Q2? The transition plan will come out, at the same time. There'll be transition plan, the provisional rulebook, as well as some update notes. And for anybody who watched the recent shit show around Twin Mask launching their 7th edition, the transition notes don't come with passive-aggressive comments because we're better than that. So I'm really hoping that our transition is not as salty as theirs was recently, because like I said, I keep up on the tea for a lot of different LARPs. Thanks, Aaron, for the weather report. Appreciate that. And Gunnar, awesome. Thank you, Kate, for your comment. Sorry. Okay. Everest/Justin asks, okay, what is RTC, RPC, RDEIC? These are great questions. We are a very acronym heavy group. Apologies about that. So we have the Refuge Tech Committee. We have the Refuge Promotions Committee. The Refuge Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion Committee. Those are those acronyms. I had to learn them too, friend. So thank you for asking. All right. Marley wrote a paragraph. Sorry, I'm still scrolling, friends. Gunnar, please don't put more werewolves in the game. We have a lot of lycanthropes. Like we had a whole like were rat problem for years in Akarthia. Like I wear bats. Just wear everything. Even those of you who remember the old transforms from the Nero days, like I knew people who had various different lycanthropy transport, like and I'm not advocating for this. Please don't put transforms in the game, friends. Like, don't do it. But you had like a second sheet that you would digivolve into for Nero. Not advocating for that. You kill.
I'm just pleased you used the word digivolve.
I've been on calls a long time today, and I knew I'd be a little bit punchy by the end of this. So that's who I am now. Can we remove the need to call normal in light of the removal of silver? That's a really interesting question, Sean. There are games where you just call the number or you don't call anything, but we have so many damn carriers in our system. Thoughts? I'm going to toss this to the panelists. What do you guys think about the concept of removing normal as a call? How do you feel?
I have no idea. That would be an interesting topic to discuss. So if you have opinions about it, let me know. I'm here for this.
Yeah, I am definitely. If somebody has strong opinions, throw them at me. I do not have a strong opinion on that one.
Okay, Marley.
Whatever
thoughts?
helps people, whatever maintains clarification works for me. So
Yes.
I don't have an official opinion as I serve on RRC, but my unofficial opinion is that I kind of like that and I think it has value, but I'd love to hear pros and cons and simply the call pattern in general is something we'll be looking at for Refuge next.
Okay. I could understand that in Robo speak. Marley is not an AI. I just want to be really clear. Marley is a real person and not an AI tonight. Even though I certainly know how to fake that, but yeah, no, Marley's a real person. All right, so moving right along, I've got Kola Vonkara again. Are there any other ways that we can interact with other communities and do crossovers? I've had other communities reach out but don't know what to tell them. So let me. This is really done at the local level, right? Most often. So I'll pick on Barb. Spite ended in the Pacific Northwest with a hell of a bang. So there was already this amazing relationship because of Barb between a LARP in their area and obviously with the network. So there's an opportunity there. Are many of your local GMs, your owners, they probably have interacted with other owners of other LARPs, and I think, Katie, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but I think you have other games in Salt Lake, right? Yeah. Okay.
we do.
Yeah. So there are so many different ways to interact with the other communities. We haven't done anything on a network level. That is definitely something. The network leadership for DR just changed in the last 72 hours. But there are opportunities. I have good relationships with Alliance, with some of the Nero owners, certainly with the Twin Mask, Gloom Hollow in Southern California. There are so many different games around the country, that we could interact with and continue to grow our audience, right? We want more people to be playing Refuge. We want to bring in those new diverse ideas into our network. If you have somebody reach out to you from another community and they're like, hey, I'm really interested in doing something with Refuge, either nationally or locally, it's probably more on the local level, connect them with your GM locally. Chances are your GM is
or owner,
right? Chat with, yeah, absolutely. We are not adverse. We are supportive of the hobby as a whole. Yes.
As far as like different LARPs like working together and creating like cross events, I'm not sure would work necessarily because of like the different rule sets and the different things that would kind of combine to make that not necessarily possible. But I'm not totally denying the possibility that exists. But cross promotion is amazing because that gives you a chance to, give your players something different to experience, as well as, promoting our nerdy sport all over the place. Like the more people we have, like if you play 5 different LARP games, good for you. Like we gotta keep each other's hobbies alive, keep our communities alive, and like helping each other out does that. It's to me, it's completely pointless to want to exist like, no, my LARP is the only one, and you can't play with another one. And I feel like that's we're not kicking each other out of the sandbox. We're just gonna make the sandbox a little bigger.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. When I was a chapter owner, we did a lot of NPC exchanges with Nero, and so we offered, if there was a lot of cross offering between, because most of the LARPs have some kind of out of character incentive XP, so gobbies, chapter points, AP, incentive points, right? There's all of these different words. They all mean the same thing. So being able to work as a community and say, all right, I know you went and supported them for the weekend. I'm giving you something in mind like that. But that has to really happen at kind of the management level between the two groups. But cross promotion is great. We have not necessarily looked into that as Refuge as a network. But there's always an opportunity to grow. Like apparently there's a Star Wars LARP in the Pacific Northwest. What? Okay, Barb's nodding. All right. I want to go be a Jedi. Oh yeah, there we go. Lee was talking about Star Wars. So, all right. When can we expect the playtest to start in 2024, and how long do we expect them to run? So I'm going to give you a really vague answer to this, Andy. So obviously we're going to land the provisional rulebook, and then there will be RRC will finish their work, and then it will go through the voting process, and then it will have an implementation process. So I feel like maybe late summer. And Marley, thumbs up, thumbs down, too soon, too late. I mean, that's really me shooting from the hip. But Andy, I want to be able to give you a timeline as well, but that will require the board, having an opinion on that. Marley, it's really based on the board's timing.
I'm not sure how and if playtesting in the sense of being able to try different character builds with the provisional rulebook will work. That, to my knowledge, hasn't been fully discussed yet. But as the first provisional rulebook and then latter ones roll out, I would hedge to say most chapters, and possibly even on a national level, will allow experimentation so that you can get exactly the best feedback to us possible through play.
Cool. It's a very reasonable question. All right. Gunnar heard lethal assassinate. Let's see. If Marley did the voice issue on purpose, would we even know? No, you wouldn't, friends. All right. Let's see. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Thank you, Aaron. You flagged me. Who does one contact for RPC? Feel free to send a note to me, and I will, because I'm serving as chair, so under normal circumstances, you would be sending it to the chairperson, but because I'm wearing both hats, feel free to send them out to me. Elliot, don't help with the Nero transforms. Guys, no. Okay, Katie.
I was just going to say, anybody on the local level, you can also reach out, at least speaking for myself, you can reach out to your GMs or owners, and they can push you forward as well, or answer questions you have before you get sent to Jules or whomever is acting as our chair. So, at any of my local peeps. Poke me if you want me to send you anywhere on any committees or have questions.
Love it. All right. Okay, Gunner's answering questions. Hold on. Oh God, there's lots. I know there are discussions to allow for higher level players to be able to continue growing easier, but are there discussions on lowering early game costs for new players? Not currently. Costs are Barb, go.
Yes. We have been actively talking about things like removing some of the XP sinks in early levels, like healing arts, first aid, stuff like that. That just takes XP that doesn't actually give you a whole lot game mechanic wise. We have no firm plans on this yet, but it is something we are discussing. So we are talking about getting rid of some of these XP sinks to make it easier for low level characters to be meaningful.
Awesome. I wasn't sure if they were talking about actual costs to attend games, so thank you for interpreting that, which is what I assume correctly. So thank you, Barb. Your costs are set by your local games, by the way, friends. Like, they are not set by national, and they are entirely regionally based, so the amount of money that you're paying is probably based very heavily around the cost of the site that your local owner is renting, and it is a hellish thing to find locations, so please give your owners grace. Someone is nodding because they're dealing with that right now. Oh my God. Marley is a midnight asparagus. It was declared in the chat. Amazing. All right. I refuse to respond to that comment, Val. I see you in the chat. All right. Hold on. All right. There is a ton of okay, I finally got to the end of this. There's a ton of fantastic conversation in the chat. There are still 44 of you on this call, which is staggering to me. You have been on this call for an hour and a half with us, guys. Thank you so much. I have one last question for the audience. I am seriously deeply impressed right now. I want to toss it to my presenters to kind of share their final thoughts. But on top of the provisional rule book, what topics do you want to hear about? Tell us in the chat for future Fireside Chats, right? We've talked about talking about play styles, like people who are really into econ, bringing up subject matter experts. Obviously, Refuge Next is going to be a constant conversation. We do want to talk about the provisional rulebook next time, but if there's other topics that you want to hear about from the ownership, from committee leads, if you want to hear me give a TED talk about why LARP changes people's lives and helps them succeed in their careers, happy to do that. If you want to hear terrible fucked up LARP stories, I have those too. Like, what do you want to hear from you have them too, Katie. I know you do too. Anybody who's been an owner has horrible.
I'm not trying.
Do you want to hear guest speakers from other networks, right? Let me know in the comments kind of what other Andy, the free play database is not getting reset. We're using it as staging currently. I can answer that question because I just see it in the chat right now. But put them in the chat, friends. Like and subscribe if you're in the future. Like and subscribe and put the notification bell, whatever they say for YouTube videos. And then I want to toss to my amazing panelists. Thank you so much for coming up here with me while I babbled. So I'm gonna toss to Katie for any final thoughts, anything you want people to react to in the chat.
You're amazing. First of all, thank you for doing this and for planning this and for making slides and being so helpful to all of us on the board of directors. You are incredible. I just want everybody to remember that, like you reiterated earlier, that our organization is all volunteers. Everybody's working hard, balancing their real life with their LARP life. And we appreciate every one of you players. We appreciate everybody who volunteers on our committees, everybody on our board, including our amazing secretary and our amazing new treasurer, Lizzie. everybody, and our editor-in-chief, Kat, who's amazing, like everybody who works on these committees and who helps with the board of directors is putting forth new ideas, and we're working together, and I just think that's what LARP is all about. So I'm gonna stop blathering now.
All right, let me toss it to Barb.
Sorry, I got distracted by a comment on. I'm just so thankful for everybody who's still here and everybody who came out, like, period, dot, the end. I would love to hear any feedback you have. If you have ideas, if you have fun things that you want to talk about, if you're really excited about X, Y, or Z, like, hit me up. I don't care if I don't know you. I don't care if I only know you vaguely because we're friends on Facebook and I've never met you before. Like, and I can point to a couple of people on this call who fit that bill. Like, I am happy to meet people and talk to people and reach out. Like, I'm here to help out, and I just love this game. I love this community. And I am so excited by the fact that we get to change each other and be with each other in community. It's so freaking fantastic. So thank you for being here, and I hope that actually had something to do with what the question was.
It was. You did a good job. You understood the assignment. Good job. So let me toss it to Mr. Roboto himself. Marley, we're going to hope that his audio holds out for any final thoughts, Marley, that you would like to share with the community.
As others have said best, thank you all for coming out and showing your inquisition and support. If you do have questions about anything related to the network, as secretary, I kind of have a good view of what's going on, what things mean, and can send you where to ask if I don't know an answer. My DMs are also super open, and I promise I do not robite. The last thing I guess I'll leave you with is that I do love pizza, Ryan, and I promise that admiring that. I look forward to seeing you and these principles. And I think especially the ones that are coming on the provisional movement.
I don't know if that was intentional, but you did in fact robot at the perfect time.
Perfect. Like, you can't make this shit up. It's gonna be so good on the replay. Marley, thank you for being part of this. I have no idea why your computer suddenly decided to wig out. The time, yeah, it's cinematic. Thank you, Braz. Perfect. Again, thank you so much to my three panelists. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. I will be putting this up on YouTube, and by me, I probably mean Kat. But thank you, everybody who tuned in. I'm absolutely flabbergasted at the response. So we will be doing this again February 24th. Please do join us. Yeah, we are Refuge and or Borg, apparently, according to the chat. So, all right, I'm gonna end the session, and yeah, probably have a go have a glass of mead. So thank you everybody for being part of this conversation and for visiting us. We look forward to seeing you again in a month. Thank you so much. All right, thanks, friends.